Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're mixing up a formula found in a Givaudan patent, supposedly for Cartier Declaration, as perfume is created by Jean-Claude Ellena. And of course I'll post the formula in the show notes. And what I'm interested to experience with this is that it's a short formula. It's elegant, you can say. There just are not many things in this. And it's been a while since I've smelled Declaration, but I'm looking forward to put this together. There's a couple ingredients that I'm excited to see in action. One, Mace. There's some Mace oil in here. I'm relatively unfamiliar with Mace. I recently picked this up from Liberty Natural, but I have not used it in a formulation yet. Also in this formulation is cumin. Now cumin I have used in a couple formulations, and it is easy to overdose cumin. So this is a splash of cumin, but I'm very interested to see what happens. Ooh, Mace is nice. It's peppery, but it's fresh. It's almost green right off the top. Ooh, I'm gonna like this. That's gonna pair well with the coriander and the Armoise or the mugwort. Okay, let's get this going. So as I have this constructed, I'm going to be doing a 12.5% concentrate. If I remember correctly, Declaration is an eau de toilette. So I don't know exactly where Cartier what their concentration was at when they delivered this, but I don't want to be too light, don't want to be too heavy, and it's my first time making it, so it's just going to be a shot in the dark, so to speak. So let's get this going. I will also put a link to the patent. In this patent contains the formula for Feminite de Bois, which was originally a Shiseido fragrance, and I believe it was then moved to Serge Lutens. That is in this patent as well. And there's another formula. I don't know to what fragrance the formula can be attributed, but there's a third formula in here, so it's a good patent. Final note: this patent is all about trying to find essentially a replacement for, at least as I understand it, a replacement for things like ISO-E Super or perhaps Vertofix. So there's ISO-E Super in this particular formulation. I personally am interested to see what happens if I mix up that ISO-E Super with some Vertofix, or try some other base core note, or cloud, as Sarah McCartney calls it, from 41,060 Tuesdays. So we're going to see how this goes. We are going to see how this goes. Now, how we're going to start today is a bit different. Usually what I do is I'll build the base, and then I'll smell the base, then I'll add in some florals, I'll smell it then I'll add in the spices, the aromatics, and I'll keep smelling it as we go. I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm going to start with the floral core. I'm going to start with florals, then I'm going to add the spices such as the cumin, the cardamom, and the mace, and then I'm going to do the aromatics and herbals like the Armoise, the coriander. Coriander can be argued what family that's in, and then some cis-3-hexanol. I'm going to get all of that set up, and then I'm going to add in the woods. This is cedarwood heavy, so I will add in the woods later. So let's start with our Ionone beta. Ionone beta, or beta Ionone, is roughly 3.5% of the formula. In this particular recipe, it's about 0.45 grams. I'm making a 10.5 gram sample at 25% concentration. So we're going to start with 0.45 of Ionone beta. All right. Per usual, I'm going to set this aside so I know that I've already used it. Ethyl Linalool, 5.2% of this formulation, 0.675. I like ethyl linalool. It's a little metallic like linalool, but it is also fresh. It is a little floral. If you want just an easy, and you can add a lot to a fragrance and it doesn't seem like it can negatively affect it. It adds a little bit of body, a little bit of freshness, some lightness. And, but I think there's some wiggle room with accidentally overdosing. Wiggle room that does not exist with cumin. All right, next up, Citronellol or Citronellol. I'm still waiting on a correction on how to pronounce that. Of course, I could Google it. Citronellol. Love this, nice and rosy, like geranium, 0.3 grams. Okay. Last up, at least for the red, rosy materials, phenyl ethyl alcohol. So it's possible here that Elena perhaps wanted a rose note, but didn't actually want to put rose in the, in the fragrance. Because phenyl ethyl alcohol with citronellol, you're basically 2/3 of the way to a nice little rose accord. I think geraniol is on that list as well. It's been a minute since I've been building a rose accord, so I need to go back and check. So, okay, last up, Hexyl Cinnamaldehyde, or Jasminal. Hexyl cinnamic aldehyde. Of course, there's tons of different names for all of these. This is wonderful. This is more of like a lily of the valley muguet note. It's a little bit more transparent. It helps to wash out any of the harsh notes in your rose accord. It just smooths it out, and it gives it a little more lift. Just makes it a little bit more clear, transparent, light in the nose. Another wonderful material. Okay, give that a swirl, and let's grab our strip. Now all I'm expecting here is to smell a little rose, little Ionone, and but with a little transparency. We're going to call this Floral Core. This is number 1. And while this is chilling out, we're then going to move straight to the spices with something like cumin and mace. Boy, that just smells amazing. And cardamom. I want to smell this effect on the florals immediately. So let's start with the cardamom. All our floral notes are breathing. With cardamom, 1.73% of this formula, 1.75 to round it up. So 0.225. Got it. Cardamom, done. Cumin. With cumin here, in this formula, there's 0.0008 grams. 1 drop out of this pipette is 0.015 grams. So I've got to get somehow a half drop. Wish me luck. Usually what I'll do if I need this amount and I'm too lazy to make a 1% dilution, that's what I should do. I should just make a 1% dilution and get over it, especially with cumin. I'll do that later. What I will do is I'll take my pipette and I will get all the juice out. And there's still residual juice in here that starts to sink down. And I know that there's enough juice accumulating to at the bottom where, depending on just if I eyeball it, depending on the size of the amount that's accumulating, I can get somewhere between 0.004 grams and, you know, 0.001 grams. So let's get that out. Let's wait till it drips just a little bit. I do not want to overdose this. It's going to be about 0.04. I've also noticed with my scale, even though it supposedly registers to 0.001 grams or 1/1000th of a gram, I noticed that sometimes, even though when I get a little splash in there, it is, if it's less than half, if it's less than 5/1000ths of a gram, the scale thinks it's just a gust of wind and it'll reset back to 0. So I have to trust that that initial reading that I get is the amount that hops in there. So we're good there. And noted, Ryan needs to make a 1% dilution of cumin because I think it's a lovely note. It's a lovely note. It puts in this a little scratchy hiss into a formulation. It's animalic. It smells a little bit like body odor. It is a lovely note to put in delicate amounts in a fragrance. But right now I just need a 1% dilution. Okay, Mace, 0.15. I overdosed it. I'm 0.19. Let's write that down. My bad. Went a little too fast with that one. Okay. Let's get our next strip ready. We'll dip it and then we'll go back and we'll smell that floral core. So we'll put spices here. Dip. And let it chill. All right, flowers. Ooh, that's nice. It's clear, it's fresh, it's a little rosy. The phenyl ethyl alcohol gives it just a little bit of depth, a little bit of meat and potatoes in there. But otherwise, the ethyl linalool lifts it up. Citronellol gives it that rosiness. The Ionone gives it Ionone. Gives it that Ionone vibe. Okay, that's nice. How about the spices? All right, perfect amount of cumin. Now I know on my skin, when I smell something with cumin on a strip, I don't smell it near as much as I do when I put it on my skin. So I'll be interested to see how this smells on my skin. Okay. This just gives a little depth, a little extra sauce to the florals. I will say the mace is wonderful. There's a tie-in, maybe it's the ethyl linalool, but with the mace, there's this brightness. There's this spiciness, but there's also this brightness. And that brightness, whatever that is, I'll have to do a look at a GCMS of mace, but whatever it is, it ties in really nicely with the floral, with that floral core. Oh, I can see, I like where this is headed already. Next up, herbal aromatics and green notes. We have Armoise, otherwise known as mugwort or artemisia. We have coriander seed, which is heavy in linalool. So I think that'll be a nice bridge between the ethyl linalool and the florals and that mace. And then we got some cis-3-hexanol. All right, let's start with our Armoise. This is a splash. Interesting. So there is just a touch. All of these are probably more just for color than anything. Because with the Armoise, 0.009 grams. Again, I'm going to have to get something like a half drop. Go. Oh, I'll do it. 0.1 grams. I will take that all day. Coriander. Okay, we're going to get 2 drops of coriander. It's about 0.3 or 2.5 drops of coriander. It's 0.03 grams. Yeah, just a splash. Splash. All right, coriander's done. Then cis-3-hexanol, 0.008 grams. I guess I'm going to have to make a 1% dilution of cis-3-hexanol as well. because I do see occasionally that if I'm making a small 10-gram sample, I do see that small amount. Oh, wonderful. I'm on a roll today with these half drop amounts. Okay. Next scent strip. I'm just going to call this green. I just want to remember in my head, what did I put in here? What did I add? And again, I'm just guessing. This is for color. This is not going to add much to the fragrance. It's just for a little extra complexity, a little extra brightness. Florals. Nice. Again, that phenyl ethyl alcohol is standing out in my mind in here. Spices. Yeah. A little extra, call it a little extra depth, a little extra masculinity and freshness coming out of the spices. Let's add the greens. Oh, Armoise will add something. Coriander, add something. Okay, and the cis-3-hexanol. I can barely detect the cis-3-hexanol. When I smell cis-3-hexanol, that same type of core body that I get from phenyl ethyl alcohol, I get that same vibe from cis-3-hexanol. Maybe it's the alcohol part of that molecule, but it does something in my nose where it's very centered, it's very heavy, and it's just very thick. It's like a gravity well for a smell inside of my nose. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to add all the base notes, sans Isoe Super and Hedione. I'm going to call Hedione a base note because it lasts a while, but this is cedarwood heavy. So let's do this. Let's add the cedarwood and let's smell it, and then let's add all the other colorful base notes. Let's do cedar. This is number 4. Okay, with cedarwood, Virginia, 17.25% of this formulation. It's 2.25 grams. I hope I have enough in this 10 milliliter amber bottle. Might have to do a reload. Boy. Uh-oh, running low. I'm definitely going to need to do a refill, which is okay. We're almost there. 0.25, 3, 4, 5. Good, there. And I'm going to leave this out because I'm going to have to refill. We'll give this a swirl. And then let's give it a smell. Let's let this rest for just a minute. If I don't let it rest, I can't actually smell anything on the strip, which is a little unfortunate. So last up, so we have our final base notes. Then we will have our citrus. And then finally, we will have Isoe Super and Hedione. Okay. 5, 6, 7. All right, here we go. Other base notes. A little Muscone, a little Veramos or Evernyl, some Cypress, Spanish Cypress, different than blue Cypress, and then Coumarin. Yep, little Coumarin. And the amounts that are in this makes me think these are, again, just for color. Now, Muscone, there's just almost 0.1 grams. I'm okay if I overdose the Muscone. Muscone is beautiful. It's spendy. It's expensive. But Muscone is beautiful. It's a wonderful musk, but there's an animal note in it that is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Coumarin, 0.03, just a splash. I'm expecting this to give it just a little bit of sweetness and a little freshness. We'll do the Evernyl. Not even. It's 0.008. So again, not quite a full. Pretty close. Not quite a full 1/100th of a gram. And then Cypress, Spain. All right, here's a good bit of Cypress. 0.035% of the formulation. 0.045 grams. I do like the smell of Cypress. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay. All right. We'll swish and slosh. Smell it. Then let's smell the addition of cedarwood. It's almost chocolatey, but because chocolate has a dry, it's got a dry woody note to it. This is not that complex. When you add where we're at with the florals, the spices, the herbals, and the cicery-hexanol, and you have that accord, you have that core. When you add the cedar, it's plain as day. It's that accord plus cedar. It does dampen those top fresh, brighter notes, does dampen that out a little bit, but it's okay. Ooh, okay. The Coumarin, the Cypress, Muscone, the Veramos, we did not add much, but that really adds more color, more warmth, more breadth to the base. Wow, I'm impressed. So cedarwood is 17.25% of the total formula. 0.06, that's 13. 23, that's 0.36. 0.7%. Not even 1% of the formula is mixed between Veramos, Muscone, Cypress, and Coumarin. And it's a valuable addition. That's nice. That's very nice. Let's finish this up. Bergamot. Of course there's bergamot. There's bergamot in everything. We've got 1 gram of bergamot. At the rate I'm using bergamot and all these formulas, study formulas, patent formulas, I've got to get more bergamot. Maybe bergamot will be my first 1 kilo purchase. I've yet to purchase a kilo of anything, but kind of looking forward to the day when I need to make that happen. All right, bitter orange, 0.15, and then Mandarin. The patent doesn't, it doesn't specify what type of Mandarin. It says Mandarin from Italy, and I only have red Mandarin and yellow Mandarin. I see green Mandarin often, but I don't have any of that, so we're doing yellow Mandarin today. 0.15. So 10% of this juice is citrus, if you count bergamot as citrus. It's always, in my mind, it's good to know relative ratios. I was mixing up a test formula of my own the other day, and my top notes, my citrus, were only about 5% of the formula, and it just didn't have that same brightness, you know, that top little kick that you get from a formula with 10 to 20% bergamot, you know. So let's give this a try. We're going to let this chill while we add in the Hedione ISOE Super. And then I actually do, because how I'm using these dilutions, I actually need to put a little more alcohol. All right, ISOE Super. 40% of this is ISOE Super. 40%. Okay. .525. Good. Then we'll do the Hedione. 0.18, almost 14% is Hedione. All right, I overdosed the Hedione. Squeezed a little too hard. I'll have to make that update. But that's okay. There's wiggle room with Hedione. Give this a swirl and then add some more perfumer's alcohol. .375. Then we're going to give this one final smell. Now I know when I smell this right out of the beaker, it's not, I'm going to get the bergamot. I'm going to get the Hedione. Fresh, straight. It's just going to hit my nose. What I need to do is let this thing sit for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Come back to it. I mean, I'll give it a day and I'll smell it. But if I give it a week or 2 weeks, all of the ingredients blend better. The Hedione dies down. The bergamot kind of spreads across all of the other materials. And it's a different fragrance. All right. So we'll let this one, this is the moment of truth. Let's go back. We're going to remind myself, we've got florals, spices, greens, the cedarwood with the extras in the base. And it's nice. This is nice. It's fresh. It's woody. There's some depth there. Yeah, it's nice. Okay. With the citrus. This is great. I'm not getting kicked in the face by bergamot like I usually am. Maybe the mandarin and the bitter orange really help smooth it out. I know bitter orange, love bitter orange. It's like bright, it's orangey, but there's almost this waxiness that kind of helps blend together other citruses when I'm working with them. It's very nice. It's very nice. All right. This is the final one. Yeah. This smells, unfortunately, this smells like what I just smelled, but with Isoe Super and Hedione. And unfortunately, I say that because when it's relatively fresh in the beaker, they are heavy and they dampen the smell. This simply needs time to macerate or mature, whatever the word is. And, but I like where this is headed. I really like where this is headed. So, friends, give this a try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's 21 ingredients in this formula. And they're all pretty common. Armoise, that's less common. Perhaps the cumin and the mace, perhaps those are less common. Yeah, a lot of the ingredients in here I think are easy to get. Hopefully they're in a lot of perfumers' organs, but give it a try. I'm excited to see where this goes in a week. Very excited. On that note, thanks for joining me, and come back again.